All right, good morning, Advantage members. What's going on? It is June 10th, 8:30 a.m., and prices of Bitcoin currently at 37,500 and some change. We made some very swift movement overnight, once again, putting in a slightly higher high from yesterday's candle, and then taking out some stops above this daily right here, right around 38,000. Right. So let's dig into the smaller time frame and see all that we've accomplished so far. Okay. So first things first, what we have right now is this was the previous low that was put in this range right here. And then from this, we expanded up. Okay. So as I spoke about in yesterday evening's video for Advantage members, ideally what you want to be looking for is a pullback somewhere around, this area right here. Okay. That little pocket between, say, I don't know, 33.5 up to about 34 and a half. If we can get price to come back into that $1,000 range, and hopefully, whenever price bounces from this area away from it, this is probably your long opportunity. Your risk, meaning your stop, is there or there. Okay. Now, Harry also put out some good analysis on the indicator chat channel right here. Okay. He says he's watching for a 1 hour swing potential, long at the retest of support. So this goes along with what we just talked about, which is, the potential pocket of longing, somewhere in that 34 area. I think his indicator pulls this out to be on the 1 hour time frame right around here, right in this pocket right here. Okay, this aqua line retest, okay, which is around 35,500 down to this white line, which is around 34.7. Mine's slightly deeper than that, but it's entirely possible that we get front ran, right? Meaning we come down here just to say 35, and then from here we bounce. Okay. Based on my analysis, however, right, the way I'm looking at the market right now is we made such a significant movement away from, these lows right here. Okay. I'm hoping, right, see this area right here, where price previously bounced from. Okay. I want this area where price came into multiple times right here. I want price to come into this area and hold it as support. And then this we can leave as a deviation, just like this was a previous deviation of this, larger range right here. Okay. Now, just because I'm hoping for that kind of scenario to happen doesn't mean it has to happen that way. I'm fully prepared just in case price does front run me. Say price only comes back to, I don't know, 35,500 or 35,700. And from here, it starts moving back up, right? I'm okay with buying into this area. But ideally, if you buy into that area and say your stops are much deeper, you can see your risk is much higher, right? Because if you buy here and say price does something like this and it starts nuking, well, then your stop is way the heck over here. Right. So this is why I'm really hoping that we get a very nice retest in this area, hold that area as support, and then take off. All right. Now on the daily basis, I think it's actually possible because, here's a couple of things that I'm noticing on the daily. Okay. I believe that we are in the midst of putting in a temporary bottom right here. Now, temporary bottom, I don't really know if from here we still, kind of, move sideways, do this kind of garbage, and then break out. But nonetheless, I believe that these kinds of signs of, price wicking into this area and not breaking it, good sign. If there was ever a day for us to completely nuke the market, it was probably on this hammer candle, which saw a good amount of absorption. Now, how do we tell that the market is going from, say, a downtrending market, which is, this is a clear downtrending market, right? To say neutral or potentially putting in a bottom to bullish. How do we recognize that? Well, it all comes down to understanding the sentiment shift, the flow, and how exactly the spot volume is doing. Okay. So first things first, we need to go to the spot markets, right? We need to go over here, here. All right. And let's go to the daily and let's throw on the volume right here. Okay. Now, let's also go to Coinalyze, and we need to pull up some information. Let's do indicators and CVD spot. Okay, for now, we're just going to look at spot volume. Okay, so let's zoom out further. Okay, so what you ideally want to see, right? As price has developed this base right here, okay, you want the CVD spot to start basing out as well. And you want that CVD spot to start ticking up like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. 1 second. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see stuff drawn on my screen? Yes, no? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right. So that's kind of what we're hoping for, okay? You want spot volume to come into the market and be the driver of the market, because spot means real cash buyers, right? It's not levered up derivative contracts, because any person can have $1 million and 100x that and turn that into 100 million. Okay, but with spot markets, you can't do that, right? You have to have real cash buying. So when we look at the spot buying activity, so let's dig into that some more, right? Here's a CVD spot. This is the area where CVD, took out a very key low, and you can't really do a whole lot of technical analysis on CVD, but what I'm trying to indicate is, it dipped really low, right? And saw some aggressive buyers. This is what is indicating that for now, temporarily, the spot buyers are rejecting this area, meaning if you associate this spot buying activity with this price, which is around 32 to 31K, they said, no, thank you. We're not going to allow price to dip much deeper. And everything that comes into this region, right, we're going to buy it up. Okay. So the point is, this is a good sign. Now, what would be a bad sign is if price starts to dip back and CVD also starts to dip back aggressively. If price starts to dip back, but then CVD just stays like this and like this, right? Very, very good sign. And guess what? In those conditions, you want to be buying aggressively, because even though it looks like price might be dipping down hard, and if the CVD is just kind of floating sideways, you should know that there are some real big buyers in the market. And even if price is falling a lot, especially on derivative exchanges, the spot buying is continuously being bought. Okay, so ideally over the next few days, this is what I'm looking for. I want to see price action stall a little bit. So we're already on Thursday. You guys know very well, as we get into the tail end of the week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't really expect huge breakouts typically in the market. I think it happens sometimes, but it's quite rare, right? So what I want to see in the market is price action chop around in this area, all right? Even if it starts coming down closer to 34, 35, that level that Harry and myself mentioned, right? That is the area that you want to be watching. And personally, you'd want to be a buyer in that area, especially if we can keep an eye on CVD spot. Now, Advantage members, obviously, I will update you guys if I do recognize those signs, but you can always go to Coinalyze, right? This platform is free for now. And you can look up this information for yourself, right? You can look at the CVD spot. You can look at the open interest building. This is all related to the derivative contracts, right? These are the points and the metrics that we pay attention to in our community. Okay. So, just in case, say I'm not available to give out information, you guys know exactly the information points that we look at to understand if the market is really turning winds, if we're starting to recognize that a potential bottom is being put in. Okay. All right. So now the other part of recognizing that a potential bottom is being put in, aside from this, price analysis and, indicator analysis, right, is recognizing flow and news events. Now, flow can be indicated by recognizing, is there significant volume coming into a key low? Have we taken out liquidity from a particular area, which we did right here, right? We took out that low, which is this X, okay? And decent volume, as you can see, volume finally started to tick up. You see this white line right here? This is basically a moving average on the volume. Why do we do that? Because sometimes, like, if you don't have a moving average, say if I turn this off, right? Say if I turn that off, you're not able to recognize when the volume is changing, right? It looks very choppy in this area, right? It looks like up and down and up and down. But see, a moving average helps you smooth out and recognize what is the trend of the volume overall. So you see this little hump, right? You see volume right in this area dipped and then popped up. Okay. This is, in my opinion, not super substantial, but it's something to note, right? It's important nonetheless. So in this area, we put in a nice little hump right here where price took out a key low, which is this liquidity pocket right here, and volume gained a decent amount, in which case price went up. Okay. So that means that buying activity actually picked up in this area, which is also indicated by the green bars. Okay. So all in all, the flow of the market is telling you that for now, structurally, this low has volume increase, lows taken out, CBD spot rejecting to fall, below that particular area, that 31,000 low. So all good signs. Now, the final sign, which is probably the most important sign, in my opinion, is recognizing sentiment in the market. Okay. Sentiment in the market, you guys know very well, in this whole range has been pretty negative, but it was extremely, extremely negative right around here. And this is where you then start to see a turnaround in the market. Now, it's entirely possible that from here, we can come back around and, nuke the price and once again, drag sentiment lower. But generally, when you get some pretty sharp negativity in sentiment, and then you see volume pick up, the lows being swept, spot buying activity pick up, these are all signs that the stars are aligning for, say, a potential temporary bottom to be put in. Okay. And the last sign that I generally like to keep an eye on is, you guys know very well, for the last several weeks, we've been just getting hammered with FUD. Elon Musk tweeting about dirty Bitcoin energy, IRS, tax news on cryptocurrency, China wanting to ban miners and start closing down Twitter accounts or Weibo accounts, right? All this stuff was being baked in right in this cycle drawdown right here. Over the last couple of weeks, that kind of FUD has still been active, but not as much. And if it has, it hasn't destroyed price a whole lot. And even over the last 24 to 48 hours, we still had some of that China FUD. And then Elizabeth Warren talking about, hey, we need cryptocurrency to be cleaner, and people are using this for what's it called? Crime and money laundering and this and that. Like, well, no shit. Like, the US dollar is used for that too, but you guys don't give a crap about that, right? So obviously, they want a target, which is probably going to be crypto. But guess what? Even though that conversation has been going on for the last 24 hours, this is all we've done. Okay. So you want to gauge and see where exactly is news and sentiment hitting the market hard, which it was right here. After that, where exactly is news and sentiment still negative, but it's not doing a whole lot for the market in terms of sending it down further? And then at what point do all the other stars align where we're seeing spot buying activity, we're seeing the market go sideways, and negative news is not nuking the market. And I believe that has happened over the last 24 to 48 hours right here. So this is why I'm saying that I think it's fairly safe to say that we're either putting in a bottom right here, or we've already put in a bottom, or even if we pull back, I don't think we completely nuke now, to 26, 25K, unless unless a crazy exogenous event happens, by the way, okay, which is entirely possible. But again, for all intents purposes, right, I'm really thinking that this low right here is probably the low for a little while. Okay, we might come back and retrace some of this move right here because this is a pretty large inefficient move, right? Inefficient in that we didn't really have a whole lot of consolidation in this area before we moved up. So generally the market, because it's pretty efficient in that regard, like especially Bitcoin, it comes back, cleans up, some of the aggressive buyers in this area, weeds them out of the market, right? And then we can start moving up higher. Okay, is that understood so far? Which price range you recommend to watch to enter BTC long? Yeah, I just mentioned that, didn't I? I mentioned that right here. Okay. First of all, you can also go to the indicator chat and see what Harry wrote down right here, right? This channel right here. And then, like I said, I'm also watching, this little pocket right here, right? See this right here? I want that pocket to turn into support. Okay. So, that's kind of the area that I'm personally watching. The other thing you can do is let's see if we can throw a fib on this and see if any fibs line up in this area in that green box that we see. Wow. Would you look at that? The perfect, 50 and 618 fib line up right around there. Okay. So, ideally what you want over the next few days, and I do think that over the next, 2 or 3 days, I think we're going to go sideways here for a little bit. Like I said, right? Hopefully in this area, range a little bit. And what you want is in this ranging, you want a higher low to be put in on the daily basis, like this. Okay. You don't want price coming anywhere near this low. All right. Harry says daily shepherd buy signal forming as well. Yes. Let's check that out. Yes. So what he's talked about is if you look in this area, right? So we hit sort of the oversold territory. We're now crossing over where price action has gone sideways. And if you look right here, right, this is generally the area where you want price to do something like this, where, or not price, but rather this indicator. This aqua line goes up, right? This switches green, come back, and this is your buying opportunity right here. Okay, so technically, as per the shepherd, you're actually getting a buying opportunity right now if you simply want to utilize this indicator. Okay, I would personally think that, you could take a stab right now, of course, if you want to go long. I really think we still need a retest down here. Like I mentioned, this 33, 34 area. But again, it's not necessary. So, it is entirely possible that the shepherd indicator is really indicating a bottom. I'm just not really buying that just yet. Okay. I want to see more of a retrace. I want to see more of a, base to be put in, especially with the higher low that I just showed y'all earlier. All right. Okay. Let's dig into altcoins. Matic, first of all, again, right, we put in this low right below key support right here. Okay, now we came back to this 151 level, rejected it. Now, what we need to see from this rejection area right here is price to start getting sent down further. Okay, if we don't see price getting sent down further and we stay right around this area, then it's possible that this is the low. And then from here, we might reclaim 151 and start heading up higher. But here's the caveat to this, okay? I believe that generally when BTC dominance has hit critical lows like this, um, Bitcoin is generally just pent up energy and capital flows waiting to drive this asset up. And because Bitcoin is such a big market cap asset, right? What you generally want is to stay away from altcoins when Bitcoin dominance is this low and Bitcoin is showing you that it is aggressively oversold or ready to bounce. Because it takes so much money to move Bitcoin. It'll take all the money flows to be rotated into BTC to drive it up further. And that would mean a further, removal of flows and money from other altcoins. And that could mean that these altcoins may move sideways or they may head down further just to be able to allow BTC to push up. Okay. We actually spoke about this a couple of weeks back where I mentioned the only reason I was I did some spot buying in BTC and I had a long position in BTC is because of what I'm saying right now, which is, the fact that I believe for the most part, altcoins are going to get whacked further while Bitcoin starts to gain its dominance and starts to, move up in price. And I still believe that to this day that, BTC dominance, when it's this slow and start to tick back up, right? You generally want to be long BTC or at least spot long BTC. All right. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to right now. Now with altcoins, okay, if you do see that, this is a good buying opportunity, you want to go pick up some spot or, buy some levered longs, well, you're really hoping for KSR levels to be broken. Either you see something like this, where you see a higher low being printed and price keeps hammering this resistance level, or you wait for the confirmation for price to break above key resistance levels. You buy spot right here, go long, whatever you want to do, and then you can aim for the next bigger targets. Okay. I'm personally just waiting for Bitcoin to do its thing, because I really think when Bitcoin gets going, it's probably the best trade in the entire crypto space. Because honestly, like everybody wants to go long BTC. Okay. And there's so many shorts to be exploited to the upside. And just, the whole Michael Saylor, wanting to offer convertible bonds for buying more Bitcoin, and, the sentiment being at extreme lows, spot buying finally coming into the market. Like all these things are kind of lining up to tell me that Bitcoin is probably the best trade that may start popping up, in the next few days, next few weeks. Okay. What was the Bitcoin dominance in alt season time a month ago? Well, it was like dropping from here. It was dropping from here down. Right. This was really the full blown alt season where Bitcoin dominance completely capitulated, basically from beginning of April all the way down to like the middle of May. So yeah, about 50, 55 to 60%, all the way down to about 40%. Okay, so let's take a look at ETH, a couple other altcoins, and wrap it up. So with Ethereum, right, it's doing its best, just like Matic that I just showed you, right? This is a KSR level for ETH. See this zone right here? Let me make this a different color. Well, that doesn't help. Okay, see that zone right there? That's a pretty KSR level. All right, you want to keep an eye on assets like Ethereum and Matic and good altcoins, right? And see if they can hold up above their KSR levels. Okay, and if they do, then again, that could be your longing opportunity. Your risk is right there. Okay. Again, I really think that over the next coming days, maybe even coming weeks, I think Bitcoin is probably going to provide a very good buying opportunity or long opportunity. Altcoins are a little bit more uncertain. So just something to be aware of. All right. Let's take a look at our list. And one of the altcoins I'm really paying attention to is Luna, Solana, kind of paying attention to Rune, but kind of lost interest in Rune the last week or so. I know they had some like weird social media issues, and people think that Rune is just kind of like a pipe dream, like ADA, right? I feel like Cardano has been literally developing for like 5-6 years, and they still don't have smart contracts, or they don't really have anything going for it. And there's going to be many projects, by the way, that are going to face the same fate as Cardano, and it could be Rune or it could be any other project. So you want to be vigilant, because this is a space and a market where you can offer anyone any hope, any dream for the next, 6 months, 1 year, and they'll buy it because they want to buy it. They want to believe that things are really bullish, and they'll pay whatever, price over fair value because they really believe that they can make a ton of money from it. Right. So you want to be vigilant in doing your, price analysis, your fundamental analysis. So Solana, another one I'm really paying attention to. I'm really bullish on Solana because I think that they are actually developing and actually have a good product and a good ecosystem. I actually use, things like Radium and Soul Ape and Soul Farm, right? We've done this stuff in our farming, staking, lending channel. I'm really grateful for all the people that have contributed. I myself have talked about, the things that I'm using in this channel as well. So this is a great resource for you to be sharing and reading, and even watching the videos that Zordan made in this channel, right? Because we made tutorial videos of how to use things like Radium or the Solid wallet or Soul Farm, right? So all that stuff is in here if you haven't checked it out. So anyway, I'm very bullish on Solana. Also pretty bullish on Curve too. I think Curve is probably an underrated asset too. It's starting to hit my radar a little bit more. Yeah, this is really the watch list that I'm kind of paying attention to right now. But yeah, I think the best trade once again, probably going to be BTC for a little while. Let's see. We got a question about KSM. Yes. So I would say the KSM expert is probably Elizabeth, right? She's been really following KSM for a while. I'm definitely a big believer in Polkadot, but I actually think that, I think Solana is probably going to outpace Polkadot, right? Probably going to take some of that market cap and, money away from Ethereum. So KSM being, the Polkadot ecosystem, product, I don't know how well KSM is going to do, but it obviously, it looks like it's pressing up much higher than other assets right now. So, I cannot argue with that, right? I don't know that much about the fundamentals of KSM. So, again, please do your own research. But yeah, it looks solid, right? So if you're going long on KSM, well, this is your perfectly defined risk. This is a very, very nice retest. You can go long here or even on a pullback, right? And it definitely should not come below this green zone right here, right? That's your long opportunity, okay? But yeah, I don't own any KSM. I don't know that much about it. But once again, I know, smart people are involved in KSM. Very smart people are involved in Polkadot. So yeah, you guys should definitely pay attention to this project. Okay. What else? I think that's pretty much it. We talked about dominance. Let's see how the market is about to open up. Yeah, pre-market for the NASDAQ is not bad, right? Ideally, like what you want in situations like this is you really don't want the stock market to tank, because then that will ruin, the potential bottom and the low for BTC. It'll ruin all that. So I really don't want the stock market to come down further. Okay. Nothing in terms of order books right now, nothing special I'm seeing. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you enjoy this content. Catch up soon. Cheers.